Should I hit record? Okay. What I want to do is just start off by talking about what is happening in our society. If you look at this, by the year 2020, 75% of Americans will be obese. We've got an epidemic going on in this country. Right now, roughly 33% of the population is considered obese, and by the year 2020, that's estimated to be 75%. Two-thirds of the population is either overweight or obese currently. And, these stats are actually even higher in Texas. And just so you understand, obese actually means that somebody is so overweight that they have a hard time functioning on a daily basis. And if you think about it, by the year 2020, 75% of Americans are going to have a hard time functioning on a daily basis. And that's really why why we started this education program. It's actually one of the reasons I got into the fitness industry. But if we can start educating people about the importance of health and fitness, hopefully we'll be able to uh, overcome this epidemic. What I want to do is start out by talking to you about the five fit fundamentals. Some of you have probably heard this before, but the first one is obviously one of the most important fundamentals, and that's going to be your food intake. About 60 to 80% of your results are going to be based on what you're actually putting into your body. And that's everything. Let me repeat that. That's everything you're eating and drinking. And it's, obviously you have to look at your calories in versus calories out and make sure that you're balancing your macronutrients. Uh, can't emphasize the importance of food intake. And about 60 to 80% of what we're going to be talking about over the next 12 weeks uh, is going to be discussing the importance of nutrition. The second fit fundamental is cardiorespiratory training or programming, or simply put, cardio. Cardio really is a stimulus to mobilize fat, meaning it gets fat out of storage, puts it into the circulatory system so it can actually be used as an energy source. Uh, Cardio serves two purposes. One is to improve your cardiorespiratory efficiency, which basically means to help strengthen your heart and your lungs. And two, it's to help you burn fat. And there's a couple of things that you want to take into consideration. You want to make sure you're working within a specific target heart rate zone. That's the only way you're going to be able to effectively burn fat. And then there are variables that you want to make sure you take into consideration, and we call that the FIT principle. Some of you have heart rate monitors. We recommend that all of our clients get heart rate monitors because that'll help them determine what zone they need to be in and make sure that they're working out efficiently. The third fit fundamental is vitamins and supplements or supplements. Now, when people are trying to lose weight, they're creating a caloric deficit. And what most people don't understand is when they cut their calories, they're also cutting a lot of micronutrients or vitamins and minerals out of their diet. And less than one third of the population actually gets all of the micronutrients they need on a daily basis. So that really means that we all should be supplementing with vitamins and minerals. But the problem is that you can't just go down to GNC, or you can't just go pick up any multivitamin or any supplement in general, because uh, supplements are not regulated by the FDA. And a lot of times they don't have the purity, the potency, or the delivery mechanisms to make sure they're getting absorbed by your cells. So that's one of the things that we're going to discuss later on. The fourth fit fundamental is resistance training, and it really is number four. And you know, one of the things that Renee and I really believe is important. If you can, please mute your phones. One of the things we believe that is really important is the optimal performance training model. This model was invented by the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and it was first adopted by the NBA. And now every major professional organization uses this model of training, and they use it for a reason, because it's been scientifically proven. And there are different phases. Everybody's body physiologically adapts it every 2 to 12 weeks, and for most people, it's every 3 to 4 weeks. And so if you follow this continuum, you're going to ensure that you're able to progress correctly and work efficiently through the phases of training. And there's basically three different phases. There's stabilization, strength, and power. And as you progress, not only will you see the cosmetic results, which is either the weight loss or the muscle gain, but you'll be able to overcome muscle imbalances, create joint postural stabilization, you'll be able to not only see the cosmetic changes. If you can, please mute your phone. You got a little bit of static. Not only will you see the cosmetic changes, but you'll also be able to improve your balance, your posture, and then make sure you're activating and integrating the right muscle groups. And the fifth fundamental is where personal trainers come in today or come into play, and that's professional assistance. But really, Renee and I feel that our job is to educate you. If you have the education, you're going to have the tools necessary in order to make this a lifestyle. And at the end of the day, that's what it's really about, making it a lifestyle. Please mute your phones. So, what we want to talk about is first and most important thing is to make sure you throw away the scale. Please don't look at the number on the scale. In fact, what I will tell a lot of my clients to do is just put the scale away. There are three different types of weight loss. You can lose water, you can lose muscle, and you can lose fat. The quicker the weight loss, the more likely you are to lose water and muscle. I just had a client tell me that he was going to get back on the HCG diet, and I can't tell you, you know, how bad for your body a diet like that can be. If you think about what are the first three letters in the word diet spell? They spell die. All diets fail. It's something temporary. And the goal of our program is really to help you make the appropriate lifestyle changes. With the HCG diet, you're taking in 500 calories. Of course, with this hormone, you're going to be able to suppress your hunger, and it's going to trigger your body to burn fat. But when you're taking in uh, when you're only taking in 500 calories like that, you're going to lose water and muscle very quickly. Uh, the best way to determine your fat loss is by analyzing your body composition and looking at your lean mass versus your body fat. Uh, the focus on weight began back in the 1950s, and it was actually because of the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. Uh, but MetLife actually established the tables. If somebody was 10% overweight or 10% over their ideal weight, they were considered overweight. And if they were 20% over their ideal weight, they were considered obese. And the problem is that a lot of doctors still use these tables, and they were established back in the 1950s, so they're not very accurate. In fact, one of the things we still currently use is the metric called BMI, which stands for body mass index. Body mass index just looks at two variables. It looks at your height versus your weight. So you could have two people that both weigh 200 pounds and that are the same height, but their body compositions are completely different. One could have a body fat percentage of 10 to 15%, and the other one could have a body fat percentage of 20 to 30%. There's a big difference. So even BMI is not a very accurate way of determining how fit an individual is. And an average of 1 to 2 pounds per week is uh, what recommended amount of weight that a person should lose, because that's ensuring that you're not only that's ensuring that you're losing the right kind of weight, that you're losing primarily body fat. And with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Renee so she can talk about the importance of a calorie.
Good evening, everybody. So we're totally obsessed with calories. Oh, how many calories is that? Oh, I can't eat that. But what is an actual calorie? Well, it's not a thing. It's a unit of measure to express energy in food. And it relates to the combustion rate that is needed to produce energy. The actual definition of a calorie is the amount of heat that's necessary to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. But we don't think about those things whenever we are and are for those macronutrients are carbohydrates and protein and fat. So I'll give you some examples of what some different carbohydrates are. We always think about, oh, we have to cut out carbs, but our bodies really need quite a lot of carbohydrate to support our body's activity. And carbohydrates consist of grains, fruits and vegetables, and also other sugars. And then proteins consist mostly of animal products or dairy products. Also, legumes can be in that category. And then fat. And fat you can find in nuts and seeds, oils, avocados, some things that you can see in this fancy little picture here. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody hear me? Okay, well, I guess
Yes.
I'm gonna keep on going. So
Everybody's saying yes, Renee.
okay, good. I can't hear. Okay, I see it now. Thanks. Sorry, guys. So these different macronutrients combust at different rates. Fat is one of the most efficient sources of energy. Each gram of fat that we take in gives us 9 calories, and each gram of carbohydrate will give us 4 calories, and then protein will also give us 4 calories. And although alcohol is not a macronutrient, and some of you might be disappointed by that, it also gives us calories, and 1 gram of alcohol will contribute 7 calories. As you can see by this pie chart on the side, carbohydrates should be the majority of our diet. About 50 to 65% of our nutrition should come from carbohydrate sources. It's ideal to be getting these from complex carbohydrates. So consuming a lot of produce, those things will help us get some of the vitamins and nutrients that our body really needs. And energy, we're going to go into that a little bit more. Protein should make up about 20 to 40% of your diet, and then fat should make up about 15 to 35% of our diet. So it's hard to look at nutrition labels. We pick up a nutrition label, and it tells us how many calories are in a serving. So then you look off to the side underneath, and it shows
Renee, you're breaking up.
the how many grams of fat,
Renee, you're breaking up.
how many calories. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, I don't know what the deal is. I'm just sitting in my office. So, okay, I'm sorry about the problems there. So whenever you're looking at a nutrition label and trying to decipher how many calories you should be getting from each of these macronutrients, you need to be able to do a conversion. And you can see if you have 10 grams of fat, that's going to contribute 90 calories. 10 grams of carbohydrate, 40 calories. Same with protein, 10 grams, 40 calories. And then if you have a gram of alcohol, you will get 70 calories from that. Hopefully that clears, helps make that a little more clear to you all, how to figure that out. Michael?
Great. And so what we're going to talk about now is understanding the importance of energy balance. And there's basically 2 laws that we need to take into consideration. The first one is the first law of thermodynamics, and the second one is the law of conservation of energy. Basically, what those laws state, I mean, we can't define the laws of physics. And what those laws state is that the energy that goes into a system cannot be created nor destroyed. It has to be converted to one form or another. And if you look at this, if you take in 3,000 calories and you burn 3,000 calories, there's no change in your body mass. If you take in 4,000 calories and you burn 2,000 calories, that's a 2,000 calorie surplus. Of course, there's going to be an increase in your body mass. And if you only take in 2,000 calories, but you burn 3,000 calories, that's a 1,000 calorie deficit, and you'll see a decrease in your body mass. And it really is that simple because there are approximately 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. And to help you understand this, if the average person would burn 100 calories running 1 mile. So if you didn't change anything, if if you decided you wanted to lose 1 pound of fat per week, you would have to run the equivalent of 35 miles over the course of a week just to burn 1 pound of fat. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not realistic. There's no way I'm going to run 5 miles a day, for 7 days in order to in order to burn the 3,500 calories. And it's not realistic for most people. But what we teach with our program is you cut your caloric intake back just a little bit, and you increase your activity level, and that'll create a deficit of about 500 to 1,000 calories a day. And if you sustain that over 7 days, that's going to that's going to equate to 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week, and we can ensure that that's primarily fat. So that's really important for you to understand. And it's important to make sure if a surplus can be a good thing. It can be a good thing to have a positive energy balance. For those of you that might be trying to put on lean muscle, uh, if you have a caloric surplus of 150 calories a day, that can ensure that you're putting on primarily lean muscle tissue. But if you're having a caloric surplus of 2,000 calories a day, like in this picture, that's going to more than likely convert to adipose tissue or to fat. So a positive energy balance can be important, but what most of you on the call are concerned about is creating a negative energy balance where you're making sure you're taking in fewer calories than you're burning. And so for most of us, that would be a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit on a daily basis. We know that the energy going into our system is everything we're eating and drinking. And even if you don't think that it has calories in it, more than likely you're going to pay the price for it because whether it's calorie free or not, the way the body metabolizes those particular foods, you're gonna have to burn more calories in order to see it in order to see a difference. But the energy going out is basically broken down into two things. The first one is called your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, and that basically is the minimum amount of calories that you would burn for your vital functions to continue. So if you were to do nothing throughout the day, about 60 to 70% of the calories that you burn are going to be based on your basal metabolic rate, or more loosely known as your resting metabolic rate. So if you laid in bed and you didn't do anything throughout the day, about um, that, if you were to look at that number, that would be basically your basal metabolic rate. And there are actually calculators you can use to determine what your BMR is, but more importantly is to make sure that you're increasing your voluntary activity. And that can equate for anywhere between 30 and 40% of the calories you burn throughout the day. And in fact, I've seen that even higher just with working out and increasing your voluntary activity. You can increase from 20 upwards of 50% of the calories that you're burning throughout the day. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Renee to talk about blood sugar stabilization.
So some of you may be familiar with blood sugar stabilization from conversations we've had. It's so important. Our body first priority is to supply glycogen to the nervous system and the brain. If that's not happening, we're breathing and break it down to use it once there is none left that's stored in the muscle. So our bodies don't have the enzymes present to turn fat into glucose to use. So whenever you go below your basal metabolic rate calorically, your body isn't going to be using fat to fuel your nervous system. It can only turn to your lean mass to use for your body's functions. So whenever your blood sugar is low, your body has to use muscle because it's the only thing that it can now break down to supply glycogen to your nervous system. And that's the problem with all of these things like the HCG diet and most conventional diets, because they bring your caloric intake so low below your basal metabolic rate that you're creating the negative energy balance where your body will begin to lose weight, but your body begins to starvation. That's what you fat your and your body will continually be releasing fat into the bloodstream for your muscle to begin to use as fuel. There are these problems with all of these diets, and we always keep thinking, oh, well, less calories means I'm going to lose weight. And you will begin to lose weight, but if you're losing that lean mass, you're losing your fat burner, and that's going to create this yo-yo dieting effect. So you do one of these diets, you lose your lean mass, and your metabolism slows down. Then you get fed up with or burned out on the diet, or it's just done because now the time is up, and you return to normal eating. And when you do that, you gain back the weight that you lost before, and now your body doesn't have the lean mass that it had before, and now your metabolism is slower. You aren't able to burn as much fat, so you will continue to gain body fat. And that's something that we absolutely want to avoid. So I hope that this was helpful for you all, learning how to understand what happens to your body whenever you don't get enough, or obviously I think we know what happens when you get too much. So we'll turn it over and you guys can ask some questions. I'm really sorry that my phone's for you guys. Sorry. Hopefully you guys understand that. Question?
Does anybody have any questions? Can't hear you, Jeff. We can't hear you, Jeff. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, Jeff. I think there's something wrong with your mic. Whoops. Anybody else? Do you have any questions? Michelle? Did you have any?
No, I'm sorry, I was giggling.
Oh. Well, unfortunately, we had a little bit of breaking up, but hopefully this information was useful for you all. Thank you guys so much for logging in. We'll smooth these things out a little bit more. Hopefully, we won't have issues of breaking up the static, but help you guys understand a little bit more. it's so important to understand what your body is doing with the fuel that you're giving it, and how to fuel your fitness and your body to make composition changes that will last, not just dropping a few pounds and then hurting your body later on. I hope you
Renee,
all have a good night. Yeah?
Renee, Jeff had a question about whether it was the volume or the weight of grams.
Oh,
Can you answer that for me?
that, yeah, that is either. So the like solids would obviously be in weight, and then in the liquid, so alcohol would be in volume.
Are there any other questions? And like Renee said, we want to thank you for jumping on tonight. You could have done a lot of things, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to jump on this webinar tonight. We hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or text me. Uh, this educational program that we're developing is really for you. So we would really like to hear your feedback on what we can do to improve it or to help you understand some of these concepts. Please remember we're going to plan on meeting next Wednesday night at 8:30, and we'll get into chapter 2. Thank you very much, and you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys.